The You're Gonna Love This or Not podcast contains harsh language and may not be suitable for younger listeners.
Why would you answer this call? Why would you answer this call? Why?
Hello?
Hey man, what's up?
Fuck.
Oh, hey.
How do you keep getting my new number every time?
I have connections. I know people, they know numbers.
This is ridiculous.
Anyhow, dude, you are gonna love the movie for this month.
I highly doubt it.
Oh yeah? This movie's the precursor to two of the top 3 grossing movies of all time.
Yeah, you keep selling me on these points, and then they end up being shitty movies, so...
Okay, it's the precursor to the greatest sequel in the history of sequels.
Ace Ventura 2?
No. Piranha 2, The Spawning.
Fuck.
Okay, how about this? It's related to Joni Loves Chachi.
Well, Joni does love Chachi.
Yeah, and in this movie, she feels everything for Chachi.
Wow.
Also, we got Freddy Krueger and the grossest sex scene I've ever seen.
Well, that's saying a lot because, well, you know.
I can tell, you're in.
Yeah, I got nothing better to do on a Friday night.
All right, we'll see you Friday.
All right.
It's the third year of You're Gonna Love This or Not, and Matt hasn't ran out of movies to show the people he calls his friends. This month, they're once again joined by producer Mike, along with special guest Stephen Hoveke of the CineMental podcast, to watch the 1981 sci-fi horror film, Galaxy of Terror. This Roger Corman produced film involves a rescue spaceship crew who meet up with horrors projected by their own imaginations. What will the crew think? Is Stephen regretting his life choices? Let's listen to the trailer and then find out.
Prepare yourself for the ultimate battle. Galaxy of Terror. Stranded astronauts Edward Albert and Erin Moran, trapped in a living maze of terror on a world spawned by their darkest nightmares. It's been waiting 1 billion years to scare you to death. Galaxy of Terror.
Matt, you son of a bitch.
Oh, come on, man. That movie was super fun.
That movie was so bad. It was so terrible.
Oh, see, there are certainly things I really enjoyed about this movie. And we'll get into that here. We do have
There was
a guest
only
this week,
one
huh?
thing I enjoyed about this movie.
Oh, wow. Well, save it because we've got a special guest this week from Printed in Blood. He's publisher of Printed in Blood, which makes art books that are all lovely. Stephen Hoveke is here from the CineMental podcast.
Hi there. How are you?
Hi. And of course, as usual lately, since we got locked down, from Comic Carnival podcast and real life, Mike Wycliffe.
That's me.
Yay.
How continue to keep doing this? I don't know.
I don't know why. We even have a guest. Like, you didn't even have to be here this time.
Not even supposed to be here today.
Yeah, but the reason the guest is here is Mike, so I think that is only fitting that Mike be here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that works for me.
Otherwise, things might get weird.
Steve and I have known each other for at least 15 years now, yeah?
2003.
Yeah, so
Wow.
closing in on 20. Sheesh.
Yeah.
Wow.
See, I think I've known Mike for like 7 years.
Yeah, I've definitely known you longer than anybody else here right now, so even Tony.
Yeah. Wow. That's impressive. I miss Friends.
The show?
Friend.
No.
Nobody
Not.
misses Friends the show.
Speaking of things we both
No,
miss,
there are people who miss Friends the show.
There are.
There are people that think Friends is the greatest sitcom of all time.
Well, they're wrong, too.
But there are people that think that.
Clearly, that was MASH.
Oh, MASH.
we talked about After MASH last time, I think. And
See, my favorite sitcom of all time is Scrubs, although it's not really a sitcom.
Well, but Scrubs is
Well,
pretty
right.
much the spiritual child of MASH.
It kind of is, though. Like, for real. I mean, it's a dramedy, so it's a little different. But...
Yeah, it's almost more of a Monty Python version of
I
MASH.
think I'm having an aneurysm, you guys.
Do you smell toast?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the movie we've just watched is 1981's Galaxy of Terror.
The movie. Yeah, that's right. The thing
the one that we just watched.
The loose premise for the show. Right. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly. We'll talk about this movie for a couple of minutes and then talk about MASH spinoffs for a while.
I like After MASH, personally. I don't think it gets the credit it deserves.
Oh, it definitely
Come
does.
on, Trapper John MD.
I don't think I ever watched After MASH.
What was the one with Radar as a cop? Yeah.
It's called Radar with the little asterisk in it.
As a cop.
Yeah. He was a cop in St. Louis in the TV pilot Radar.
So weird.
Oh, when I found out, I can't find it anywhere. I'm sure there are reasons for that, Gary.
Good reason, yeah.
What's his name? Gary Berghoff?
Gary Berghoff has had all the copies destroyed.
An ash pile in his basement. He goes to make sure it's still dead.
These were the master tapes. They're gone now.
Yeah, I just want to know the journey he takes to becoming a police officer in St. Louis. But anyhow, Galaxy of Terror. Oh, jeez. Rotten Tomatoes, 31% critics. Not the worst we've seen, but 29% audience. That's
wow.
Usually
the audience score outweighs the critic score. So
yeah, which I enjoyed it more than a 29% audience score.
It's rare that they're that close to in line, though.
Yeah, usually it's like 0% critic score and like 40% audience score. So
yeah, and then just like everything else we watched lately, Letterboxd 2.6, IMDb 5.1. So another one right down the middle.
Yeah, usually movies from this era, I mean, Galaxy of Terror holds a kind of a special place in a lot of people's hearts. I mean, it's a very touchstone. It's one of the more mentioned films from that era.
Yeah. Well, it's got a future cast of stars.
Yeah,
it's got some terrific model work, some special effects that are great for reasons.
Yep.
And I had not heard of this movie until the last movie doing research for it, where I found out some props from this were reused in Creature. So we got
which
them
Creature was
wait, hold on. You said with all of the movies that just I've heard you guys talk about since just we've become acquainted with each other in the last hour and a half.
Yeah.
So you'd not heard of Galaxy of Terror before this?
I was out of the country then.
How is that even possible?
Matt's originally from New Zealand.
He's a Kiwi. So he was living in the land of the Kiwis when this came out.
Okay.
Yeah, we got movies like a year after everyone else, and
okay,
Roger Corman movie would never have made it.
When did you come to the U.S.?
85.
Okay, so you're only it only would have been 4 years later.
Yeah, 4 years. We weren't big movie people until my dad got a second job at a movie theater, and after that.
Oh, okay, all right. Little pedigree in there.
Amazon reviewers, 67% of the viewers of this movie gave it 5 stars.
Absolutely.
Crazy high.
It's one of those movies that if you are a fan of this movie, you're who's going to go in and rate it. So
I would absolutely.
I'm pretty sure one guy created like 67 accounts because there is no way that many people like this shitty ass film.
And that guy's name was Matt Smeltzer.
Yeah, I'd do it. I would give this 5 stars on Amazon. I really enjoyed this movie.
Fuck, you would.
Oh man.
But yes, so props getting reused for Creature.
Yeah, props got reused in the movie Creature. I didn't spot anything super obvious, but it doesn't really matter. Really.
I am curious where those backpacks with the headlights came from.
Those were made for the movie. I saw on the shout release of this movie. There's a terrific documentary, full length, all about the making of this movie and all the surviving
They made a
cast
documentary about how they made this shitty ass fucking film.
Yeah, and it's great.
Who the fuck is so bored that they make documentaries about shitty films?
Is the documentary longer than the movie?
It may be. Actually, I think it's about an hour and a half long. Yeah,
because that's 10 minutes longer.
It's probably the same people that make podcasts about shitty movies. So I mean,
so us.
Yeah, but I can't believe it. They probably talked to 20 people involved with the making of this movie.
That's fantastic.
A couple of major exceptions. One of them being the special effects / second unit director, James Cameron. Yep.
That guy. It's a good thing that guy never amounted to anything.
Yeah, he was just, I think he was just supposed to be a set dresser at the start, worked his way into special effects in this movie, and then just asked to do directing for the second unit, and Roger Corman wasn't going to pay him anymore.
So Dark Star was Cameron's first actual directed movie. So this would have been probably like the immediate precursor, yeah? Am I wrong?
No, Piranha 2.
Piranha 2. Right? Dark Star's Carpenter, buddy.
Oh, I just did that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say Piranha 2 would have been.
Yeah, Piranha 2 The Spawning is his first film.
I think I've done that twice so far tonight. I had that completely screwed up. Okay, never mind. Sorry.
Cameron got cherry picked after he shot some stuff for the movie, and Corman noticed him right away that he was doing really great work, and just said, "Hey, I got something that might be right up your alley." So.
Oh yeah.
Well, Corman has a long history of spotting talent. I mean.
Yeah. Oh God,
especially
yes.
talent that works cheap.
Yeah.
Well, knows how to, right.
Yeah.
Not necessarily that works cheap, but knows how to work cheap.
But also for this movie, we got the Skotak brothers doing set design and everything, just like in Creature, and they all went on to make a little movie, the greatest sequel ever, Aliens, which
never heard.
That's not true.
Oh, it's not. You sure?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, Temple of Doom. That's a joke. That's a joke.
Go.
I'm glad you're in New York. Your arms aren't that long.
So I'm curious now. What is the greatest sequel ever?
The greatest sequel.
The greatest sequel ever is The Road Warrior.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to, in order to gauge the greatest sequel, it has to exceed the original, and that's a hard job. In most cases, you might see an equalization of the higher level sequels, but you won't see a movie that actually fully exceeds and blows past the original film in a way that The Road Warrior does that to Mad Max.
That's true. Also,
well, but you could make the same argument for like El Mariachi versus Desperado. Then, in that case,
yeah, but that's almost a remake, though.
Yeah, I was going to say
that's
I
a
would
partial
go more
remake
for maybe Terminator 2 when it comes to surpassing the original. If you're going to,
no, I don't think that there's as much difference. The original Terminator is fantastic.
Yeah, but T2 is so much better.
It is. I'll give you that, but it's also 6 years later.
Yeah,
in the evolution of special effects and filmmaking technology.
That's true.
Well, yeah, but
the storyline is so much
basically
better.
himself. I mean,
it is. I know all these things are valid points. I just think that, in my own personal eye, that the difference between Mad Max and The Road Warrior is far greater than the difference between either Terminator and Terminator 2 or Alien and Aliens, which are two entirely different kinds of films.
That is absolutely true.
Yes.
Everyone loves to compare those, but you can't, because one is a straight up sci-fi horror film and one is a sci-fi action film. And I don't think that you can't really compare them, because it's like comparing apples and crab apples.
Really, if you want to think about it, the Alien movies could really be seen more like, like the Marvel movies, where it's a shared universe and they're telling different types of stories in that universe.
That's the point I was going to make, that every single Alien movie is pretty different from the last one. Maybe not so much Covenant from Prometheus.
Only after you leave 3, because the first 3 films share a character. They share the main character.
They do, but they're 3 different kinds of Aliens.
They are, but they're connected by a singular character. Whereas, right. Whereas it's, the shared universe concept, I can understand, where you would go to. And even technically, if you want to go to Resurrection, the Ripley character is there, but it's a clone. So it's not really the same actual Ripley. Whereas in the first 3 films, it's the same woman.
It's a continuation of the same story.
Right. It's her character.
I loved Alien 3 when
it's
it came out.
It's like Ace Ventura 3 when they just completely just put a new person in.
Oh, we're really going to go there? Let's save that for later. I've got that down for later.
There's an Ace. Honestly, I'm not sure I knew there was an Ace Ventura 3.
Isn't it? It's a kid.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's
funny.
I've never seen it. I'm sure it's terrible.
But listen. My opinions are wholly my own, and I don't try and force them onto anyone. And so, I just, I'm pretty vocal in my opinions, but they don't necessarily have to be agreed to.
I hadn't really thought about it that way, though. But it is an excellent point. I mean, it is head and shoulders above the original movie.
It's hard. It's really.
There's also argument for like Toy Story 3.
There's a Red Warrior, so I mean.
I'm sorry. What did you say?
I think there's also argument for. Oh,
Sorry.
that was way more important than.
No, Josh, what did you say?
I've never seen the Road Warrior movies, so I don't know what you're talking about.
Wow. Okay.
I think they're before me.
Yeah, say Josh is younger by, I don't know, 7 or 8 years than the rest of us.
I was born the year this movie came out, so.
Well, that's fine. That doesn't stop you from seeing movies that came out before you. Have you seen The Wizard of Oz?
Yeah, but I also was raised in a very conservative Christian home.
Okay.
I grew up Mormon. What's your point?
I grew up Baptist. I win.
So anyhow,
I grew up atheist. I win.
The Road Warrior, the Mad Max movies?
Yes.
Yeah, it's Mad Max, The Road Warrior, Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, and Mad Max Fury Road.
Okay, I've seen Mad Max Fury Road. That's the newest one, right?
Yes, and that is quite simply one of the greatest things ever created by a man.
That is true.
No, I agree. It is quite amazing. So, but I think I've seen the original Mad Max, maybe.
Yeah, it's completely unlike all of the other films. Most of the films actually are pretty unlike each other.
Yeah.
Road Warrior and Fury Road are probably the closest to compare to each other.
Yeah, I'd say that.
Road Warrior is, but if you watch them in order, it's just fun to watch the evolution and watch what he did with that universe and with Mel Gibson. And
so Mad Max was the original one, then Road Warrior was Mad Max 2, and then Fury Road was the third one.
Correct. Mad Max did really mediocre business in the U.S., but Mad Max was huge outside the U.S. and in European markets. So everywhere outside the U.S., it was marketed as Mad Max 2. Here, they called it the Road Warrior.
All right.
Yeah. So Galaxy of Terror.
But I digress.
Yeah. No,
I'm just glad I'm getting education on actual good movies and not on other shitty movies you guys can make me watch.
But we got to talk about this one a little bit.
Now, Steve, if you can talk him into watching a black and white movie, then you're doing really good.
Or black and white.
I still plan on watching. Hey, I've watched Clerks. It's black and white. So
make him watch Human Centipede 2.
No.
I still plan on watching 12 Angry Men. I just haven't done it yet. I mean, I will watch that movie eventually.
You keep telling me that.
I will.
All right. So Galaxy of Terror, 1981, Roger Corman movie, just like Creature. After Jaws came out, Corman decided that the big studios were starting to rip him off, so he needed to pump a little more money into the budgets of his movies. And this is the result. This one got a much higher budget than most Corman movies.
Pump.
$1.8 million budget. So, I don't know, probably
back
double
in
the budget.
That's a lot of money.
That probably broke his brain, to be honest. He's probably like, I can't believe I'm spending this much money.
Yeah, it grossed $4 million, so it was really profitable.
Wow.
Yeah,
really.
So,
whole movie was shot in a lumber yard. Doesn't look like it. Looks very good for a movie shot in the middle of summer.
You're a lumber yard.
The only problem with shooting in the middle of summer in a lumber yard is when you're doing special effects involving pig guts, you probably shouldn't go overboard or try and keep them.
No, I bet that smelled really bad.
Yeah, apparently one of the places they had set up as a soundstage had to be evacuated at one point.
Ooh.
Somebody left a bucket of pig intestines out.
Did they not watch? Did they not see Stand By Me?
Oh. They probably reenacted part of Stand By Me. Anyhow, in this movie we've got the star Edward Albert, son of Eddie Albert, 1972 Golden Globe winner for Best New Actor, and we have seen him before on the podcast 2 months ago in When Time Ran Out.
Oh, right.
Yeah, he looks.
I don't even remember When Time Ran Out.
Okay, so when that was the volcano movie.
Okay.
And Edward Albert played the guy with the shittiest hairdo of the 80s.
Oh yeah,
remember that guy?
Is When Time Ran Out the one with Paul Newman?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
I do remember that one now.
I love
because
they're
supposed to watch Skyfire at some point, which is basically the same movie.
Yes, but we're trying to get an extra special guest for that one, so we're trying to hold off till we can either get him or not. So we'll see about that. Also in this movie, Erin Moran. I don't know, at the height of her career, would you say?
I guess.
I don't know.
70s, yeah. She's from Happy Days, Joni Loves Chachi.
Oh, she's Joni.
Mm-hmm.
Has shuffled off into the great beyond here in Indiana in the last few years.
I was going to say, it was like last year, wasn't it?
Was it that recent?
2016.
I was going to say, I don't remember last year, so.
Yeah, last year, 2016.
Ray Walston would have been
Also dead.
A decent name. Yep, also gone. Every person I've named so far has left this mortal coil. People know Ray Walston from My Favorite Martian. He's Mr. Hand of Fast Times at Ridgemont High and Poop Deck Pappy in Popeye.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I love Popeye.
It's a lot of fun.
Popeye is a lot of fun. It's might be the closest live action movie to a cartoon I've ever seen.
It's bonkers, but it's fun.
Yeah. Taffy O'Connell did a few small parts on 80s TV, but she owns a rather successful publishing company.
Oh.
She has a company called Canico that publishes a magazine with casting info in Hollywood.
Oh, good for her.
If you're looking for a job, go pick up her politics page, I guess. I don't know. Zalman King. What is there to say about Zalman King? It has already been said. Never count a horn dog out, I guess.
Crazy.
Didn't care for him much in this movie. He went on, though, and wrote the screenplay for it, produced 9.5 weeks. That turned Mickey Rourke into a sex symbol.
Star.
Ugh. Went on to direct the pilot movie in 11 episodes.
Hold on. Are you saying Mickey Rourke was not a sex symbol back then?
Every time I see Mickey Rourke, all I can think about is the wrestler. And
oh yeah,
I can't imagine. I've never seen 9.5 weeks. I was way too young for that, and in a rather conservative film.
It's actually a pretty decent film.
He was in one of the Iron Man movies too, right?
Yeah. He was.
Whiplash.
What's his face he was Whiplash, right?
Yeah.
See, Robert Englund. Maybe went on to be the most successful of this group. Freddy from the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. And he's in an upcoming movie for the podcast called Never Too Young to Die that I fucking love. Oh, Josh, you have no idea what you're in for when we do that episode. Oh, shit. Oh my God.
Is that? Are we officially on the books for that? Is that going to happen?
That is happening. That is recording.
It's happening.
The guest is booked and the date is set.
Awesome. And, I'm happy because I know who that guest is going to have to be.
That?
What guest is that?
Oh, it's Al.
That's right. It's going to be Al. And I got to tell you, Josh, he hates that fucking movie. Hates it.
More than you hate movies.
Yeah, like he turned around, I think last time, and said that watching that movie was like somebody took a big shit in his mouth. So
wow,
made him watch it again, and
now we're gonna make him watch it again.
Yeah, and now we're gonna make him watch it a third time. So
what makes you think that he won't just he'll have it open, but not have it off and muted the whole time?
Because he's gonna tape in person.
Oh,
he's
okay.
He's coming over.
Okay.
Yeah, he's got his shots. Playing is it Quahog? What was his actual name?
Well, he was Quahog.
Quahog.
Quahog?
Because it's listed as Quuuhod.
Yeah, I think they were calling him Quahog.
Yeah, Quahog. Okay.
Queequeg.
People know him from
Queequeg.
Yeah, well, I think he was supposed to be the Quig, I don't know, character in a movie that has nothing in common with Moby Dick.
The funniest part of his whole thing was apparently he read the script and hated all his lines so much that he complained to Corman and said, "Can I just make my character a mute?" So he only has 2 or 3 lines in the film.
He has one line, and it is, "I live and die by the crystals."
Right, but I saw him speaking to Edward Albert at least one other time and saying something to him, he answered a question.
Oh, okay.
Didn't we recently watch another movie where the person was supposed to be a mute and then she ended up talking a lot?
Oh yeah, well in Creature, the girl from Pee-wee's Big Adventure, she plays this big butch badass woman that never talks and then never shuts up the entire
half
movie.
The movie talking. Yes.
This movie is so much better than that one. Let's see here.
I don't know. I mean, they're all just so bad. I can't remember half the titles.
They all run together.
Well, Josh,
they all just run together. I mean, there's a few movies that pop up that I'm like, that was okay. But beyond
these last 2 movies have a lot in common because they're almost back-to-back filmed by same studio, and they share a lot of, I don't know, plot.
Was the last one also a Corman film?
Yes.
Have we not learned our lesson about doing Corman films?
This is the last one for a while.
No, we have absolutely learned our lesson about doing Corman films. We like to do them.
Yeah. Well, that one actually got released last July, I think. Maybe June.
Have you guys introduced him to the world of trauma?
Okay.
We're
there's
not
a story. Actually, I tell you what, the lost episode happened because of trauma.
Yeah.
We started to do Toxic Avenger 4, and we had all forgotten how bad it actually was.
And we're like,
we had forgotten how absolutely offensive it was to everybody in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah. When I find it too offensive, it's too offensive.
Yeah, I didn't think we could do a good job of it on the podcast.
But good old Uncle Lloyd has Shakespeare Shitstorm coming out soon, so I'm thinking it might be time to revisit.
Yeah, I was going to say, it ended up being the longest night of recording in history. It was such a terrible episode to record. I did not think anybody would ever want to listen to it. So, we released it in the middle of lockdown.
Yeah, I got a lot of things I said were cut because I said.
And let's not say them again, so that Liz doesn't have to cut them again.
I know exactly what we're talking about, and I'm not going to.
Are we talking about?
Yeah, we are, and we're done.
Okay.
Matt, do you know the film Session 9?
Session 9, no.
I think I know that movie.
Not familiar with.
Bunch of guys cleaning out the asbestos in an old abandoned psychiatric hospital.
I know about that movie. I don't think I've seen that movie, but I know about that movie.
All right, we just recorded with the guy who co-wrote it and acted in it. One of the guys.
Oh, that's why I remembered, because you were telling me about this last week.
There you go.
Like, I've heard about this.
Yeah, so we just recorded with him on Saturday, and he turned out great. So
David Caruso's in that movie.
Yes, he is. Yes,
the greatest actor of all time.
Yes,
oh, wow.
Jade, which we will not be doing on this podcast,
but we could.
Yeah, it's funny because I just rewatched Jade recently, and because I had completely forgotten that's a Friedkin film.
I did not know it was a Friedkin film until I acquired it recently.
Yeah,
David Caruso,
I still haven't watched it.
Best over actor of all time.
I don't know. That list is lengthy.
Best over actor of all time is Nicolas Cage by a long shot.
I might give you that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about him.
That's why you put him in stuff, though. I mean,
that movie we keep talking about, and I can't remember the name of it, but where he's coming, it's like the perfect Nicolas Cage film. Because
Mandy?
No, what's the new one coming out?
Color in Space.
No, Color Out of Space was good too.
It's really
Five
good.
Nights at Freddy's ripoff.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I don't remember what it's called.
I don't remember either, but I cannot wait to see that movie.
Yeah, he's like in an old arcade showbiz pizza type thing.
Yeah,
right. Oh, Five Nights at Freddy's.
Basically, but it's got a different name.
It's just like Five Nights at Freddy's, but it's not.
But it's basically the perfect Nicolas Cage role because the entire role requires the extreme amount of overacting. I'm just like, all right, well, that's
perfect.
I'm telling you, Josh, you need to find Vampire's Kiss. Because that is early Nicolas Cage.
Need is a strong word.
Without a leash.
Need is a strong word.
I think I've seen that, actually.
It's so gloriously insane. So anyhow, you like Rob Zombie movies, right, Josh?
I do like Rob Zombie movies.
Did you recognize
We're like
Sid
5
Haig?
minutes into actually talking about the movie.
Did you recognize Sid Haig in this movie?
I did not.
He was Captain Spaulding on several Rob Zombie movies. I think 3.
House of a Thousand Corpses, Devil's Rejects, and not 31. The most recent one. The fuck's the name of it?
Yeah, I can't remember the name of it.
God damn it!
I haven't seen it yet.
I haven't seen the
I've been drinking.
I've liked, so.
Yeah, I see zombie stuff whenever it comes out.
Let's see. We have Grace Zabriskie rounding out the cast as Captain Trantor. You would probably know her from Twin Peaks and everything on TV in the 80s.
Yeah, she's busy.
It's called Willy's Wonderland, by the way, and it came out February 12th.
Oh, did it? It's already out.
It came out digitally.
Yeah.
I haven't. The disc isn't out till like mid-April. So
3 from Hell was the final final Devil's Reject movie.
Yeah, I need to watch that.
This movie had Bruce D. Clark as the director. Sorry about that.
That's right.
Bruce D. Clark as the director. Did not see a whole lot of anything else he's done. I don't know why he didn't direct anything else. He was certainly capable if he directed this. But the big name, of course, in this movie, second unit production designer, special effects, James Cameron, the man. The dude who can
the myth, the legend.
For anybody. Yeah, the man, the myth, the legend. Also, a real crazy person on set if you cross him. In that documentary, there's a guy that tells a story. One of the producers, I think, tells a story about coming on set and being thrown off the set by James Cameron for standing there funny, I think. Like
there's probably more to that story, but maybe
there probably is, but there's probably an awful lot of cocaine in the 1981 movie.
And he probably banged Cameron's girlfriend the week before or something, and
that's possible. And also, they were afraid that James Cameron was going to throw karate kicks at him in big platform shoes.
Yeah,
So,
cocaine comes up a lot in movies that we watch.
And
mostly over the top though.
Yep. Coconut Pete.
You got to repeat that one because that one didn't come through.
Yep, Bill Paxton, set dresser on this movie, uncredited though.
Yep. Bill Paxton, and then the optical effects supervisor was Anthony Randall, who is Tony Randall, not the Tony Randall from The Odd Couple, but Tony Randall, the director, who would go on to direct Hellraiser 2. Yep,
that's right.
And deliver the story for Hellraiser 3.
Really?
Yep.
I'm one of the people that went to go see Hellraiser 3 in the theater.
I'm sure I did too.
There are not too many of us.
I am a huge fan of the Hellraiser mythos, and as bad as they get, they do turn around and start getting better again. So it's actually a series I'm going to revisit soon, and I recently watched the original again not too long ago because my girlfriend had not seen it, and still absolutely stunning, that first film.
Hellraiser 3 was one with Terry Farrell
in the club
on all the Cenobites, right?
And the spinning pillar and the city goes crazy.
I was trying to remember which one was which.
Right. And then 4 is Hellraiser in space.
I've not ever seen any of the Hellraiser movies, to be honest.
You haven't seen any of them?
I don't think I have.
All you need to do is see the first 2.
Yeah, 3 not.
And then the one, and then you don't need to see. What's nice about it is you don't actually need to watch another one quality wise until I can't remember if it's like the 5th, 6th, or 7th one, but it's the one where Kirsty comes back, where Ashley Lawrence returns. It's the one with her and Dean Winter. That's really good, and that was a straight to video release.
Oh wow! I haven't seen any since.
And that's where it turned the corner. They just went steadily downhill after 3. I mean, 3 is really not very good either. But 3, 4, 5, 6, they're bad. But I'm pretty sure it's 7. And then I saw the most recent one, the Hellraiser Judgment, where they tried to. It was weird. They turned it into. They took Hellraiser and dropped it into almost a variation on the Saw model. And it was a weird kind of mishmash of 2 different styles of storytelling. They tried to add an updated storytelling narrative to a very simple existing storyline that people were used to. And as a result, there's kind of an okay twist in it, but the rest of it isn't all that successful.
Okay. I will give that one a try for sure.
But we're getting at least one new movie and one new TV series. So,
that could be cool.
Cross your fingers. What's that?
Is it going to be on Shudder or?
No, these are both independent deals that have been made outside of that. And there's 2 different companies approached on 2 different levels. And so there's a deal to make an ongoing TV series and a deal to make a new standalone film.
That's pretty cool. I mean, a lot of horror properties, it seems like Shudder's trying to hoover stuff up. So to see you go someplace else, that's kind of awesome.
And Clive Barker just sued 4 and 1 to get the rights back to the original film. So all the rights to the original Hellraiser, the first one, all revert back to him December 31st of this year.
Oh, awesome.
Okay.
Yep.
Wow. Terrific.
Yep.
All right. Well, Galaxy of Terror, back to that.
Yes. Sorry.
So
this is the way this show goes, Steve. It's all good.
Exactly. We end up talking about everything but the movie sometimes.
Basically, this movie, this is how I can sum up this movie the quickest way possible. There's a lot of climbing. There's a lot of walking. And there's a lot of worms that kill people. And that's basically the entire movie, where they climb up a pyramid, they get tired halfway up, and then they walk around this pyramid, and the entire time they walk around this pyramid, these alien worms suck the life out of them, and not in a good way.
My understanding of how having kids works.
So, and there's a lot of fire.
The Fifth Amendment. I will not speak on this.
Burn a bunch of stuff too with fire.
Yeah, they were awfully quick to kill everything with fire, except the things that they needed to.
Yeah, they were like dead body, fire. Actual monster, nah.
Yeah, that's Balon, the guy played by Zalman King. Did not see anything in this movie he did not want to destroy. Showed no compassion, mercy, or anything until he's faced with an alien that's about to kill him.
Yeah, and then he was like, "Oh, that's my new best friend. I don't want to kill him."
He must be in PETA.
I don't understand it. Like, he torched dead bodies, like, without examining them or anything.
He didn't even know if the body was dead or not.
Yeah. Guy
like,
was there's just like a console and he torched him.
Female body in front of him, instead of like testing to see if it's alive, he's just like torch. And I was like, okay.
Well, and here's the other thing I don't get. It's like, all right, yeah, this is in the future, and you have all these different characters, but I assume we're supposed to be led to believe that all of these characters in this movie are human, right?
Yeah.
Right? So, okay. Why do we have to call them names like Cabrin and Aluma and Core and Balon? Why can't they just be like Tom, Doug, Ed, Mike, Bill? Why do they have to have crazy ass names?
What, you don't like Quahog?
Well, it's not that I don't like it. I just think Quahog would be better off if he was like, an 8-foot tall guy with like crab arms or something, and that he was like your alien race guy who worked with you, like Star Trek or something.
Yeah,
So if we're looking at the way that names are progressing through society,
oh boy,
like even now today,
strap in, everybody.
I mean, it would make sense for them to have really obscure names this far into the future.
I mean, not necessarily. I mean,
Kanye named a child North when his last name is West.
Yeah, but
so.
Well, that's just funny.
I mean, there's a child out there named Apple.
But at the same time, there have been people named Mike for millennia. Adam is still around as a name, and it was the first name.
If you believe that sort of thing.
Well, yes, but you hear what I'm saying.
I think the first name was.
Yeah, that's more likely, but not really my point. There couldn't be an Adam on the ship. There couldn't be a Bob.
Right?
Yeah, there's no Hayden, Jaden, Braden, Beladen,
Hunter, Peyton.
Yeah. Oh God, Hunters and Peytons, especially here in Indy.
I have a nephew named Hunter.
Oh yeah, is he from Indiana?
No.
Okay, we have a batch of hunters around here from Hunter Smith
and Peytons, both male and female.
Peytons.
Well, duh. I'm sure kids named Peyton, boys and girls, for like 15 years in fucking Indiana. You kidding me?
There's a pantload of them. This movie does tend to make a little bit of sense when it shouldn't, and a lot of no sense when it should, if that makes sense. Like our liftoff.
When did this movie make sense?
Well,
he's about to tell you.
Okay.
Well, the original crew that's up there gets murdered without doing anything stupid. They just exist, so it makes sense for this kind of movie. But then we've got the liftoff sequence in this movie, which involves somebody weirdly getting physical with a console of switches and buttons. Is that fair to say?
They flick an awful lot of switches in this movie.
Talking about how they were basically molesting the
Grace Zabriskie enjoys liftoff and
molesting the technology.
Yeah, it's strange, but
I mean, when you work in IT as long as you and I do, Matt, sometimes you really gotta caress the material to get it to behave right. So,
wow.
Those are words I just said out loud, so
Is that what IT guys do all day? Caress the material to make sure it works right?
I mean, the computers know I have a hammer. Let's put it that way.
Boy, I bet when floppy drives are around, you guys just had a blast.
Hard disks.
I am that old.
They were tired of floppy drives. They went to hard disks.
That's right. Solid state drives ruined everything.
Oh. Because they're constantly hard.
Robert Englund enjoys liftoff probably more than anybody else.
Well, he's got the best seatbelt.
Yeah, he's got the human seatbelt.
That's one hell of a 4-point harness. Yeah.
It is insane that everybody is just pegged back in their chairs and fastened all their restraints, yet he's fine after just being held gently.
Cradled.
Sometimes you just need to be hugged.
Yeah.
Like a little flame-scarred baby.
And then we've got Grace Zabriskie's makeup. I described it while we were watching it. She looks like the grandma in a school play.
Yeah.
Yep.
She would not have been old when this was shot, and they tried to make her look old and did not great work.
It kind of reminded me, like, if she had been an alien, like one that had a different type of lifespan than we do, you know, one that would kind of look younger still, even though they're, 150. Like a Vulcan or something, just
or well, you know how like one of the in colors of hair right now is like that kind of grayish, almost like a purple hue to it that girls are doing.
Actually like that.
Yeah.
Well, okay, but but I'm saying that it's like, you're making like a bunch of like younger women and giving them gray hair and calling it in is, seems weird, but whatever.
Yeah. Now, I thought that maybe due to her experience on the Hesperus, which we never quite get the full story of, but every time the word comes up, she starts getting the 1,000-yard stare.
Right.
That the old vets got.
It really did remind me of Airplane. It reminded me of Ted from Airplane.
Except you don't get to see the flashback.
Yeah, and I would have thought that like, whatever bad experience she had on the Hesperus just would have like left a really nice gray streak in her hair or something, a la Nightmare on Elm Street, rather than actually making her go gray all over and making her look like she's 50 all of a sudden.
Yeah, and I don't get it because they could have just explained it as, that experience, whatever happened, aged her so much. But then they say she's been captaining starships for 25 years.
Yeah.
So she is supposed to be older, and
you would expect at least 45, thinking that maybe after she, left high school education, give her 2 years of starship flight training, maybe she was a prodigy and, went right into piloting starships. So
she really liftoffs.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah. She's good at it. But there's that. There's some of the props look great. The corridor they run through 1,000 times looks like $1 million, even though it's plywood and
Big Mac containers.
Yeah, Mac containers.
Back when they still use styrofoam.
That's right.
And they just have salvaged seatbelts as their restraints. Like they don't even make an attempt to cover them up.
Yeah, they went out to one of somebody's old LTD in the parking lot and just like cut the seatbelts out of it and like duct taped them to the back of the chair and then wrapped them around them.
Yep.
And like some of them had like 4-point harnesses, and that one guy just had like a shoulder bag style harness, and it's like there was no uniformity to how people were held in whatsoever.
Yeah, I guess they just couldn't find matching ones for people.
Yeah. They only had so many seatbelts, and they're like, well, I guess you're just going to have to get held by the big blonde.
Yeah, we've already talked about Sid Haig and his very few lines. I live and die by the crystals. They were cool toys, did not look great. But served their purpose in the plot, I guess.
Do you think they were an attempt to have something to merchandise? Not really.
All right. Well, let's see. What else? Oh, our sociopathic crew member comes across her body, apparently not long after this has happened, and instead of seeing if she needs help or checking to even see if she's breathing, he torches her.
Which, again, the amount of combustibility of the human body... I'd like to know what they're shooting at people, because either what she was covered in was particularly flammable.
Right.
Or, I mean, the human body is just super flammable, or whatever they're shooting with is just amazing, because that's not how science works. So,
well, bodies, once, there's a lot of fat under the skin. So it's like once you get that fat ignited, it actually will burn pretty readily. So it's a matter of really just getting the time. And if it's a phosphorus based like shot, it might be hot enough to ignite the fat layer underneath the skin and just spread like wildfire over the whole body.
Okay. I actually give you that. I'll give you that.
Just
That's a scientific explanation that I can accept.
Yeah, so I'm staying away from campfires, candles, and good
It's it's like trying to light a sparkler. You got to hold the match there for like a good 5-10 seconds for it to actually start on fire. But once it starts, try putting out a sparkler.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah,
sure.
So.
So we talk a lot in this movie. It's supposed to be their greatest fears are wiping them out.
Yeah.
What's with the old guy rappelling down the giant colon? I don't know what you would say. It's a big long tunnel with the butthole at the end.
Maybe his fear is being alone.
And having sucker hands come out and grab him?
Oh, yeah. I forgot about sucker hands.
It's like getting attacked by squid tentacles or something that would latching onto him and eating him. But it went by so fast, it was hard to say. And, he's one of the few people who never bothers to mention what it is they're afraid of. I mean, a couple of them.
Like that, though. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's only one or two of them that actually did mention what they were afraid of. And we don't really get the explanation of that until My Favorite Martian at the end gives his big.
Yes. He gives off the whole thing, but.
Yeah. But our sociopath who shoots everything, I'm not sure what he was afraid of. Maybe heights because he falls. I don't know. Robert Englund, I guess he's afraid of himself.
I mean, you guys paid
if you're Freddy.
I did.
Yeah.
We just watched it like a half hour ago. I mean, it's right fresh in your memory.
Yeah, but okay. So what's Grace Zabriskie's character afraid of then? Going through doors and being incinerated?
Yeah, well, I'm not so sure about her because I get the feeling that she wasn't part of the whole fear thing. She just got executed by Redhead.
Well, because he was making her see an alien ship or something, and she went and opened a door that they'd all walked out earlier.
And just caught fire.
Right. Yeah, but when she's standing in front of that door and the door opens, it says airlock open. So I thought that what they basically did was open it up to space or whatever they were. But like you said, the atmosphere supposedly was okay. So I don't know why she would have caught on fire. That's a good question.
Yes, unlike in Prometheus, they just didn't bother with the helmets to start with in this one.
Right.
That really bugged me in Prometheus. Oh, scientists who don't act like scientists. Okay. Anyhow, let's see.
Just turn left.
Yeah, I have to say I had not seen Prometheus before a couple of weeks ago, and I really did enjoy it. But some of the behavior by those people.
I agree, but I fully enjoyed Prometheus.
Yeah. I did not take a ton of notes during this movie because when I watched it for my note-taking one, I actually enjoyed watching it. This movie is not great, but compared to what we usually watch for the podcast, it's terrific. I enjoyed this a lot more than Creature.
Okay.
Yeah. Have you seen Creature?
I have not actually. That's why I was looking forward to originally being on that episode because I had not actually seen that movie before, so that was just happened to be a perfect choice. I've gone back and so there's two tremendous documentaries out right now. They're called In Search of Darkness. The second one just was released in January. The first one is streaming on Shudder. But what it is each one, it's two different films, but each one is 4.5 hours long, and they dig deep into 80s horror films. Okay. And they go by year, and then they break it up by little sort of specialty bits along the way. They are both, I would recommend them to everyone and anyone who is listening or on this podcast, except maybe Josh. But it'll give you, the thing is for me, I consider myself fairly well versed in the world of horror films in general. And it's still made me aware of stuff that I didn't even know existed, especially in the second one, which I just watched. There was a few films that are kind of not necessarily considered classics, but they're films that looked interesting enough that made me really want to go and try and track them down.
Okay.
Like a movie have you ever heard of a movie called Night Beast?
I have heard of it. Yeah.
I can't find a copy anywhere. I don't think it's ever been released on DVD. It's just going to be one of those things I have to kind and try and figure out a way to find it. But the two movies, if you're willing to put the time in, as a horror fan, they're definitely worth it.
Yeah, I think when we were talking about that recently, that's one of the reasons I might finally break down and get a Shudder account.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still resisted. I gotta wait till I have more time, and hopefully the next.
And the best horror film I've seen this year so far is currently on Shudder. So,
which one's that?
I mean, Night Beast is on YouTube for like $2.99.
Oh, is it really?
Okay.
Oh, wow! That I may end up breaking down and actually paying to see a movie.
That's the 1982 version, right?
Yes, yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
that's the only Night Beast that I know of.
So it's on YouTube for $2.99, Google Play Movies and TV $2.99, Apple TV $3.99, Amazon.
Nice. There are some of the best new horror stuff coming out these days is coming out of Indonesia. There are two directors, a guy named Timo Jahanto and a guy he used to direct films with named Kimo Stambol. And Kimo Stambol's latest film is called The Queen of Black Magic, which is a remake of a 1981 Indonesian horror film by the same name. Now, his remake is only peripherally connected to the first film. So it's not truly a remake, but it contains the same sort of demonic character that the first one has, but the story's completely updated. Okay. I just watched it a couple weeks ago, and it is fantastic.
I'll have to write that one too.
Yeah, I need to see that one.
It's nice because Shudder actually added both of them the same day. They added the original and his updated version.
Well, that makes sense. It's a good way to do that, yeah. They seem to really be paying attention, those guys over at Shudder.
They're doing a really good job over there. I mean, it's AMC. I mean, those guys, they're the ones. AMC owns Shudder.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still need to watch the Critters stuff they're putting out.
Oh, the new Critters movie? Or the newest Critters movie?
Yeah.
I don't think I watched that. I saw the most recent Leprechaun movie that came out a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, whatever.
I've heard
it was.
Sure, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say it's consistently as bad as the previous bunch.
I was going to say it's not a franchise with a lot of promise.
No, but I will say this: if you enjoyed any of the previous Leprechaun movies, I fully feel that you'll appreciate the new one.
That new Creepshow show looks pretty great too.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, what I've seen of that has been pretty good. I watched the Christmas special because the story it's based on was written by a buddy of mine. So I was pleasantly surprised to see that he got pulled into that. So, yeah, Greg's doing a really nice job with the Creepshow stuff.
Okay, well, the last note I have for this movie is at the end, Robert Englund was talking ironically about dying with bloody fingernails. And in a few years, I guess, maybe he's just psychically
that's right.
Now, again, this was pre-V too, right? So before he was an alien that everybody loved?
I think so. I saw him. He's actually there is a small little vignette with him in that second part of that In Search of Darkness. And he talks about being in Galaxy of Terror and then going to do V and then going on to do Nightmare. And Nightmare obviously was where he, he became who he is.
Yeah. I have very vivid memories from when I was a kid of watching that first V miniseries with my dad.
It's good.
Yeah.
Still good.
Yeah. I still love it to this day. But
it's got, it was the first time I ever saw a particular effect used, and I'd never seen it done before. I've seen it done since. But it's one of my all-time favorite things. And that's where somebody gets sprayed with, either liquid hydrogen or liquid oxygen. And then they run outside and smash their body part into something and their body part shatters. And that dude comes out of the trailer and he hits his arm on the railing and his whole arm shatters and falls off. One of the greatest things ever. It absolutely seared itself into my brain.
Because Nightmare on Elm Street didn't come out much later than this movie. Like a couple years later.
Yeah, 84.
I was going to say, yeah.
Yep.
So, I mean,
not too long after.
Pretty close.
And V was only on for what? 2 seasons? 3 seasons?
Yeah, I only had 2, but then there was there was that 4-part miniseries that happened beforehand.
Yeah.
Was V the one they remade with the lizard people?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yep, they did that.
The lizard people.
So, what would make this movie better? I don't know. Would you cast anybody else in the movie?
You know, it's funny. I find myself now whenever I'm watching bad horror films, as a writer, I find myself rewriting stuff in my head when I watch it, and I felt like that scene where he walks up and just torches the naked broad out of the blue without saying anything. I feel like everyone should have just like turned to him and looked at him like, what are you doing, man? And I just feel like the perfect response from him would have been, well, clearly she was raped by a giant bug and there's going to be other little bugs coming out of her. So we needed to torture.
Sure.
I think the biggest problem for this movie for me was it didn't feel like there was really any real chemistry between any of the actors. Like they didn't, like it felt like they were all acting in their own movie.
Right.
Like,
right.
I mean, that's what it felt like. And so to make this movie better would have been more cohesiveness among the cast, because it just didn't feel like any of them wanted to be in a movie with the other one. Like it was,
they all felt like they were in their own movie. Yeah.
Yeah. The entire movie felt like that. It's like they're just trying to act out their own movie. Like they're all trying to create their career from this one shitty ass film, but because Corman's attached to it, I think it's going to make their whole life. And,
well, I mean, in their defense, some of them went far.
Some of them did. I mean, some of them cost them lucky breaks. Like England catching the break with becoming Freddy Krueger. No one could have imagined it would go 12 movies deep.
You know, it's funny. It doesn't. And to your point, Josh, you're in movies that show like a spaceship crew working together. I'll use the most obvious and best version of that, which is Alien. And you get that sense of, in a very short period of time, he's able to convey the sort of all the relationships between all the characters in the film very solidly, even without the expositionary scenes that they cut from the film. There's a scene that they cut out of Alien, which is when Kane is in the medical lab. And what's his face is in there with Ash, or he's been there with Ash and Dallas, and outside is Ripley and Lambert, and they have a discussion amongst themselves about if either one of them had slept with Dallas. And that's a whole scene that was cut out of, oh, you ever slept with them? And it's like, no, have you? And they didn't, they had no clue, and the idea that Ash was brought in as a new member of the crew, but they had all sort of accepted him. They'd clearly been out long enough with him that there was all just sort of like this, not even grudging respect, but at least that they were comfortable with him being around. And, obviously no one thought he was a fucking android. Spoiler alert.
Spoil that 40-year-old movie.
Been done before. It'll be done again.
If you haven't seen it by now.
But I mean, it's something that you can do, and it doesn't take a lot of work, but if you don't put any time or effort into it, obviously you end up with like what we have here, which is a crew full of people, like you said, who don't seem like they either know each other, like each other, or have anything, like they were all literally cherry picked out of someplace, and this is the first time they're all meeting each other.
It seems like that was the case, though.
I
think they explained that the master chose them to go on this trip separately, but some of them seem to know each other. So I don't really. Yeah,
I thought that the master just chose the guy, the older guy, to run the show, to run the mission. I thought that the actual crew themselves all kind of knew each other already.
Because Edward Albert and Aaron Moran have their.
I
don't love story because you don't see it at all.
No. But there's clearly something there.
Yeah, but Avenue 5 proves that you can take a bunch of random people, throw them on a ship, and make it an amazing show. So I mean, you can have that chemistry. I mean, you can have random people show up and get to know each other and still have that great chemistry. It's not like they have to have known each other for long periods of time.
Oh, but nobody starts with that kind of great chemistry, though.
Right.
Yeah. It's rough. They all just seem to accept each other's actions as being completely reasonable when none of them.
Yeah, I mean, there's absolutely no chemistry there. That was the biggest problem for me. That's a problem we run into a lot of these movies, and that's what bothers me about them so much. It's like the actors act like they hate each other in real life, and it's very obvious when they're acting together on a show.
The Yankees definitely love.
Yeah,
story.
I mean, there's just so many movies where we watch where it's like it's painful to watch the interactions between the cast because it's very apparent that they don't like each other or that they've never met each other before or they've not really spent each other's time together before. I mean, that's what makes a great show or movie is when the people inside the cast can act like they've actually known each other for a very long time.
Right. Well, yeah, like they're invested in each other. I kind of brought it up
earlier with like when we're talking about greatest sitcoms like that. But that's the one thing about Scrubs I always loved is that every member of the cast of Scrubs, you think they like each other. Yeah, like they really like each other in real life. And so it makes the show so much better, even when there is conflict. And with like Janitor and JD, where that the whole concept is that they hate each other, but it's obvious that in real life they actually do like each other because their chemistry on screen is so great. But that has a lot to do with directing and writing and things like that. I mean,
100%. I mean, listen, I watch predominantly horror movies, most of which are bad, and I accept that, and I'm fine with it. But every time I go into a movie and 15 or 20 minutes into the movie, which is generally your period where people start dying, if they haven't established at least one or two likable characters by that point, all you give a shit about is seeing someone killed. And like, I don't care if any of these people die. And at that point, they've already lost you as an invested movie watcher. You know, all you care about is the technical side of things. It's like, all right, well, I hope at least they find a really interesting way to kill these guys, and that's entertaining, as opposed to because like I've watched some movies with huge 10, 12 person casts, and by the time people start getting knocked off, not one of them has a redeeming quality out of the whole group, and you're like, I can't wait to see all these people die. I hope they all get killed.
I'm rooting for the bad guy.
There's also merit in that though, like. Sometimes you do want to have those movies where you hate every character and you want to see them die because you want to see how interesting it is to watch them die. Like this movie didn't even really do interesting ways of killing people off. Like so it didn't.
Well,
I mean, but not
there
really.
was one innovative and insane scene.
Yes,
yeah, but it was weird and creepy and stuff. So it's like, So I mean, it's one thing to create this cast where like if you don't really care about the characters, but then you're just in it to watch to see how interesting their death's going to be. Like in Spookies, that movie was so ridiculous. But they did some ridiculously cool things in there. How they killed some of the characters off. It was like, okay, well that's okay. But the movie was bad, but it wasn't. It wasn't so bad that it was like an exploding Grim Reaper. I mean, come on, that's kind of cool.
It's my favorite kind of horror movie where it's just
I mean,
fun.
that's fun for me. Like that's whatever. I mean, it wasn't a great movie. I would never watch it again, but. At least they have redeeming qualities, whereas this movie has basically zero redeeming qualities. There's just nothing about it that I'm just like, I would tell somebody something cool about this movie to make them watch it. Like it just no.
Yeah, and that pretty much sums it up for me. None of these people seem to genuinely care for each other, and they all get their just desserts, it seems. Although I will say the head explosion.
That was okay. Awesome. I mean, I'll give them. But head explosion effects have been around for a long time, and they're cool. They're hard to mess up, I guess.
I guess.
Oh no. They're you can make them. You can make them where they're not very interesting. Believe me, I've seen more than my fair share of head explosions, and there's clearly a group that stand out.
Only a true horror.
They stand head and shoulders above the rest.
So one of the coolest head explosions to me is in Men in Black. When he shoots that guy's head off and explodes and then grows back.
That's a good one.
Cool.
That's a good one.
That's one of my
Raiders of the Lost Ark, Scanners.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's not really a head explosion as much as a body explosion, but Brian De Palma's The Fury. John Cassavetes at the end of that film. Seriously, no one here's seen The Fury? Come on.
I don't remember if I have or not.
Andrew Stevens, Amy Irving, John Cassavetes.
Nothing.
It's great. And I don't know if you guys Mike might be old enough to remember. I know you guys are in Indiana, but
Matt's older than me, so
do you guys remember the and you didn't get here till 85, so you might not remember this. There was an indoor amusement park outside of Chicago called Old Chicago. Anybody?
I have heard of it. I've heard that it existed.
So it was a completely indoor amusement park with roller coasters and rides and everything else, all enclosed inside a huge dome structure. And it existed for, I can't remember when it closed, sometime in the early 80s maybe. But part of the Fury was filmed at Old Chicago. So you
I know what Old Chicago is too. I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it was old with an E. Oldie Chicago.
The ancient city of Chicago.
Yeah. But yeah, no, that's a good solid. That's a really underrated horror movie. It's a telekinesis based, government trying to, it's a telekinesis based version of non-fire version of Firestarter, essentially.
Okay.
With just telekinetics and stuff.
It was 75 to 80, so it was before I was born. But I remember people talking about it.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, it was a shopping mall. That
was
yeah.
Yeah, it was a shopping mall with an amusement park.
Yeah. So I remember talking about it.
All right. Well, now we're coming to the part of the show where we are going to rate this movie. We usually rate out of
rape.
10. No giant worm shenanigans.
We're gonna worm rape this movie.
Oh boy.
I should have put
Sorry,
that out.
Liz.
It's a good thing Liz is asleep right now.
10? Yeah. Some guests give it a letter grade. Some have given it fractions. Some have given it imaginary numbers. Just however you feel about this movie. I usually rate on how fun it was to watch. But we'll start with Mike this week. What do you think of Galaxy of Terror?
But before you answer that, Mike, let me just ask one quick kind of referential question, which is, so I know some people, letters, numbers, whatever, stars. Do you guys have any sort of, even amongst yourselves, any sort of unified scale?
We usually go 0 to 10.
Okay.
I don't really want to think about what a 0 would be with the kind of movies we watch.
I would think that'd be tough for you.
Nothing's never been rated a 0. I think 0.2 is the lowest rating I'm giving something. So
0.2.
Yeah, Josh is usually.
Wow. Okay. All right.
Josh likes to make a statement in his ratings.
Yeah.
Out of 10, I would give this a solid 4.5. Not my favorite movie in the world, but I'm not that upset that I watched it. It had some cool stuff, but at the end of the day, it's pretty dumb.
Yeah.
Let's just say I own a lot of stupid bad movies. Like I own a copy of Birdemic. I'm not gonna buy a copy of this.
That's an admission of guilt right there.
Know. Well, that's all traumatic cinematic that I have to thank for that. But but no, I own a copy of Birdemic. I am not gonna buy a copy of this movie. So take from that what you will. But I give it a 4.5.
4.5. That works for me. Josh, what would you give it?
Oh, it's hard for me to rate this movie because I had a really hard time paying attention to it and like actually watching it, just because of just how dumb it was. There were some redeeming qualities, like the set design wasn't terrible. The head explosion scene was pretty decent.
10.
1.3 stars.
1.3.
I don't know. Like I don't remember what I rate most movies, so it's hard for me to remember. So
I was gonna say, what's your highest? What's the highest you've ever ranked a film on this podcast?
Probably Mazes and Monsters. Yeah.
Yeah, or Mac and Me.
I think you
Mac and Me.
Oh God, he loved Mac and Me.
Mac and Me is just fun. Or Simply Irresistible. No, Simply. What's that movie? The rom-com.
Simply Irresistible, yeah.
Yeah, that one's fun too.
Yes, I was about.
But I love all rom-coms. All rom-coms, I love them because of how ridiculously cheesy they are.
Oh, really?
That's why I love them. And so
I'm sure we can fix that.
Please, I can't handle rom-coms.
Oh, right. I love, and that's the other better part is that Matt hates rom-coms so much that it's like better for me because
if we,
they're just fun because rom-coms are just cheesy ridiculousness, and so like for me, it's like I know exactly what I'm getting into when I'm watching a rom-com. I'm watching a cheesy, over-the-top emotional display of ridiculousness. So it's like I know what I'm getting into, so I'm just like, oh, that's hilarious, or that's fun, or whatever else. So
Josh gave Mazes and Monsters a 6 and Simply Irresistible a 6 the next month. And then other than that, it's a mishmash. There are a couple of 3s, a couple of 2s, and then the rest are like 0.9, 0.5. Oh, and he gave Miami Connection 0.1, which I feel.
Wow, I can't remember.
Matt feels personally attacked by that one.
I do.
What was the thing that gave it that 0.1?
The special. I liked it. The special. There was something with like the costume design or something. What's that called? I don't know what it's called.
We don't either.
Not special effects, but the makeup.
Oh,
okay.
The makeup was done really well. Like some of the stuff was done really well with the makeup because it was a bunch of college kids at a local university that did the makeup, and so I felt like they deserved some credit for the 0.1.
Fair enough.
There was a lot of negatives to that detracted from that. Like
his 0.1 comes from adding.
The makeup itself would have gotten like 3 stars.
Right.
But all the rest of that stuff just kept bringing it down. So there's one movie that I gave Jaws: The Revenge. I gave extra thing to just because Michael Caine was in it.
Yeah, you gave it a 1.3.
Yeah, and one of those stars was just Michael Caine's existence. So
that's right. I pulled up a spreadsheet with Josh's ratings on it.
Yeah, I'm glad someone's keeping track because
I gave Miami Connection an 8 because
I'll listen to the podcast later and be like, I said that. That's a thing that I said. So.
Oh my God! I gave a 7 to Tammy and the T-Rex.
God, what is wrong?
Whatever.
Wow.
All right.
That's generous.
All right, Steve, what would you give this movie?
On a scale of 1 to 10, I'd probably go something in a range of probably just under mid-range. I'd probably go 4.5, just simply because I'm never going to watch this again. I've seen it twice now. Once when it came out, so I would have seen it when I was, a bit more formative and impressionable, and now I've seen it now 20 or 30 years later when I'm a bit more jaded and cynical. So I've seen it at the 2 stages of my life that really make a difference. And I'm pretty good knowing that I don't think I never need to sit through this again. So beyond that, it does have there is some technical charm to the movie. Yeah. You're not going to get past that. And obviously just for a sheer uniqueness in 80s horror sci-fi, where else are you going to get a scene like that, honestly?
Yeah.
And I mean,
brave enough to do that.
Right. And you're never going to see anything like that again now. So, at least for a while anyway. So yeah, probably somewhere, in I'll say 4.
Okay.
So I'm not waffling.
All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and give this a 5. I don't know why I enjoy this movie as much as I do.
You're not alone.
It's stupid.
There's a lot of people
fun,
who love this movie.
And again, you just want to see creative ways of getting people you don't really care for killed off. Like the later Nightmare on Elm Street movies. I would give it a 5. It's not my favorite movie we've done on the podcast, as we just went through a few. But it's definitely not the worst for sure. I enjoy it. I'll probably watch it again when I get somebody over here live in person, and I want to throw a curveball at
and
them.
I want to torture them.
Yeah, exactly. Al hasn't seen it yet.
What would you say the worst movie we've done is, Matt?
Oh gosh, I didn't close it. No, I didn't. Let's see. I gave.
Well, that's got to be tough for you.
Yeah.
Heartbeat.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Actually, that was Josh's lowest rating as well.
That one was painful.
Heartbeats. I gave a 1.5. Josh gave it a flat 0.
I did give it a 0. I did give one thing a 0.
Worse than Miami Connection.
Here's the answer to your question, Stephen. What does it take to get a 0 on this podcast?
There you go.
Heartbeat.
That's one of the lowest rated films ever in the history of Rotten Tomatoes as well.
It is so.
It sits at a 0 critical score, and I believe either 7 or possibly 8% audience score.
And that 7 or 8% is all Tony Troxel.
All Tony. Tony loves that movie.
Tony's the one that picked that movie for us, and we watched it.
Heartbeeps, holy crap!
It took a Friday night away from me.
Now, see, Steve, aren't you glad that I brought you stuff like Six String Samurai and not Heartbeeps?
Listen, my fellow co-hosts on the CineMental podcast are a bit more, especially Latham is a bit more
Jaded?
film school. Film school oriented. So they look at things with a little bit different eye than I and Hassan do, simply because I've watched so many truly awful films that even when a movie may not live up to its theoretical potential, you can at least look at it and appreciate the amount of work and time and love that went into making it. Mm-hmm. And Six String Samurai, I'll be honest with you, it's not awful. It's actually, considering these guys shot it on weekends over a course of like 6 months. So I mean, think about the incredible lack of coherency just shooting from weekend to weekend for the course of 6 months. I mean, it's not like you could actually go back to this every day and shoot and have everything kind of moving along. You know, you're like have a week off between shoots every week. I mean, that alone makes it, you have to give it some level of respect for all that alone. And it's honestly, there's a lot of really fun, inventive stuff in the movie for as goofy and cheesy as it is. So, I mean, I listen, and you had Dave Made a Maze on with us on your latest trip to us. So, and that's a movie I had, like I told you, I'd had in my queue to watch for a long time, and so I was glad to have a reason to actually sit down and spend time with it. Yeah. No, your movie picks in general have been fun for multiple reasons. So, I mean, we'll keep having you back on just simply because you bring good stuff. Woo.
So what's the basis of what you do? Is you guys just pick random movies, or is it like a theme to it, or?
So what we started off with is, so I have a fairly solid Rolodex of well-known people in the comics, TV, whatever, different businesses. And so I would invite them on as guests and let them pick 2 movies. It's a chance for them to come on and talk about 2 movies. Whereas, listen, when Jimmy Palmiotti gets asked to be on a podcast, he knows he's going to talk about comics because that's what he's there for. When Walt Simonson gets asked to be on a podcast, they're going to talk about Thor. They're going to talk about comics. I have guys on and I ask them about their favorite movies. Everyone likes talking about movies who likes movies. So, anytime I get a chance to get somebody on to talk about movies, I'm all for it. And I've got a couple of good buddies of mine who are very much along the same lines. So we decided to start doing this podcast. And basically, we just tell the guests pick the films. We have no say in what the movie picks are, unless a guest picks something that we've already covered, in which case I tell them they have to re-choose. But for the most part, we really haven't run into that. The only time we've run into it is we did have a guest recently asked to do Jaws, and we did Jaws kind of early on in the evolution of the show. But so then the second pick, ideally, is something that we would call a guilty pleasure, which is a movie, and this is where Matt would fit in very well. You pick a movie that you absolutely love to watch that objectively is bad or is mostly disliked by other people. Now, the argument we always get on pushback is, well, I like this movie, so clearly it can't be a bad film.
Yeah.
Right? So people sometimes have a hard time, but they do sometimes get it. I had a recent buddy of mine on the show who's been on a few times, and he picked The Departed as his main film, and his kind of tie-in film was Tango and Cash. So, you kind of get the and he tied them roughly together as, cop heist movies, running together. And then and we sort of, we've had guests on who, if they couldn't decide on a guilty pleasure, they might pick 2 movies that are tied together thematically. Or like in like Howard Chaykin's case, he picked 2 movies from the 30s that both had Carole Lombard in them. Okay. So there's a lot of different ways they can go around picking their 2 films. We don't necessarily tie anyone to any one idea. We put an idea out there. What they do with that idea, as long as they pick 2 movies we haven't watched, good to go.
Have you guys done The Princess Bride yet, though?
We have. We did that with Stoya, actually. That's her favorite film.
Yeah. I don't know who Stoya is, but I like her now.
Do a Google search. You'll be pleasantly surprised.
Don't do it at work.
Yeah.
Just turn your safe search off and you'll be all good.
Yeah. But no, I really enjoy you guys' podcast. I especially like when you go through fan art and stuff.
Down the tubes. That's people's creation. I love that.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know who that was, but I do now. So. Yeah, so that's really that's cool. It's kind of a cool concept. It's unique. So you get like the movie that is arguably a great film, and then one that's a guilty pleasure that people like.
Which I still will argue that there's no such thing as a guilty pleasure. It's just a pleasure.
No, I'm not ashamed of any of these movies.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, so like a guilty pleasure for me would probably be some random Nicolas Cage film, just because I love Nicolas Cage for what he is. I mean, I know that objectively a lot of his films aren't great films, but they're fun for me to watch because of what he does in them, whatever else. Or I mean, there's just certain movies like that for me that are they may hold like a nostalgic value or something else that even like years later watching them would be. Although something I actually did rewatch a movie recently that I really like called The Rocketeer. We bring it up every once in a while.
Yeah.
Rewatch
only one of the greatest movies ever made.
It still holds up after all these years. I mean, there's a couple little things that are cringy, but that's just in the timeline when it was created. But yeah, it's still a great film objectively. Like the special effects still look good, even though it's so old. Like I kept talking about when I rewatch it, and I rewatched it again because I hadn't seen it in probably 30 years. And like it's still for me a great film. I mean,
I agree.
Yeah, for sure. Steve, why don't you tell us a little bit about Printed in Blood?
Printed in Blood is we're a boutique publisher that specializes in curated art book collections of new artwork based on pop culture IP. Our first book was based on John Carpenter's The Thing. Our second one, ones we've done since then, we did for Stranger Things, Ghostbusters. Our latest one to hit stores will hit on March 23rd, which is for Firefly. We currently have 2 that are in the process of getting artwork approvals, and which is Aliens, which will be out in September, and a book based on John Carpenter's Halloween, which will be out sometime in the same area, but it might be more like October. And we just announced actually our next project, which is going to be based on the TV series Hannibal.
Terrific. So you guys sell these on your website. I've seen them on Amazon and elsewhere as well, right?
Yeah, mostly. I mean, so The Thing we did ourselves, self-published. That was our first project. The other ones have all been so far through other publishers. We've created them in partnership with them. They held the licenses for these properties, and we worked alongside them to create these projects. So you can go to Amazon, and they're all available on Amazon anyway, because we sell the Thing book on Amazon as well.
But also, I know Ghostbusters and I think the Firefly one that's getting ready to come out are through Titan, which means we can get them through the comic shop too. So we can actually
Ghostbusters is actually Insight.
Insight.
Stranger Things was Random House. Firefly was Titan, and on the upcoming Aliens book will be Titan.
Oh, I thought we were able to order the Ghostbusters one through the comic shop through Diamond. Yeah. I'm sure you can. Insight sells through Diamond. Okay, yeah.
All right, and you guys sell posters and prints and stuff too, right?
We do. That's how we started off, actually. We started off the alt, working kind of peripherally to the alt poster industry. We started off, the 3 of us were all big fans of that world. And so we had some friends do up different posters, and we spent the first few years of our existence doing a few of them. We still have a handful of them, 25 or 30, I think, different designs up on the website that you can still buy. But that's not really our focus anymore. It's mostly on the books. And, we're going to be moving into we're going to be moving into doing focused art collections by specific artists, like artist monographs as well, sometime this year. We've got a couple of different projects in the works.
That's cool.
They'll be all like one artist's, overview of that artist's career kind of thing.
All right. Well, that about wraps it up for Galaxy of Terror. I do have here a review of Ace Ventura 2, handpicked from Letterboxd. This one was watched by user Eli on the 4th of June last year, at the beginning of Neverending 2020. And his review of the movie was, Ace almost died, which was good. 1 star.
I hate you so much. Yeah, I'm going to start bringing shitty reviews of the movies you love and just throwing them into your face.
What do you think this whole show is?
When I look for reviews for these movies, there aren't a lot of good ones.
Right.
Yeah.
I do have to say, I have to search to find the really bad reviews for Ace Ventura 2. People
Yeah.
who watch it love it.
Yeah, because it's not that bad.
It's amazing that you have all this free time to do this every week. Even though you don't have any free time. So maybe we have time to dig through reviews to find bad reviews about a movie that is objectively a very great movie, just to piss me off. No, I get it.
The good thing is I can filter on Letterboxd. Get all those 5s out of the way.
Yeah.
We started doing the show last May, and it's so far, and we all kind of agreed with each other we'd keep doing it as long as it was fun, and so far we all still have a lot of fun doing it. So
now that you're coming up on a year, do you have any big plans for your 1-year anniversary?
I haven't thought about it. It's funny. The only reason I know is that on the website that I use to load everything up, it has the archive listed by the month next to it on the side. And I looked at it recently and I'm like, oh shit, it's almost May, and May is when we started. Our first episode was like May 31st, 2020. It was the first time we actually dropped it. So it's like, that's kind of our launch anniversary, I guess. So, I hadn't really put too much thought into it. I guess now is probably the time to do that. Considering, I think I have now scheduled out. Let's see. I have
should be getting close to your 100th episode by that point too.
Pretty close.
Anyway, should we probably end this podcast?
Oh no, we should definitely just keep it going. Keep it rolling,
Already
keep rolling all in.
Recorded.
Yeah, so we're scheduled out through like episode 96 right now.
Nice.
So.
Wow.
I got to this episode.
All right. Well, I love you guys.
This is our 29th.
I love you, Matt.
Yeah. Love you too, Josh.
Pleasure meeting you.
It was very nice
for coming on,
Steve.
Steve.
You can come back whenever you want. I actually like you.
Oh, well, thank you.
Well, if only he was that courteous with all our
new
guests.
people, so I don't say that to all the guests.
I know how to rub people the right way.
Oh, yeah, you do. You can rub me anytime.
Wow. Yeah. All right.
Holy shit.
Josh
is up way too late.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on, Steve, this week. Thanks, Mike.
You're very welcome.
Of course, Liz, for listening in. And we will catch you next month.
Yeah. All right. Love you guys.
Bye, everybody.
This episode of You're Gonna Love This or Not was recorded using Zencaster because we're still surrounded by rat lickers. It features Matt dragging Josh down into the dark depths of his movie collection and is released monthly on the Team Geeking family of podcasts. It is produced by Mike Wycliffe, edited by Liz Shunn, and features music by Scott Holmes, who can be found on the Free Music Archive. Make sure you subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, or the podcatcher of your choice, and please leave us a rating and review. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.